Hey everyone, welcome back to Terminal Yet Purposeful. It's me, Megan, as always. Thanks for hanging in with me. Today, we are talking about work. And because I live in the United States, we are also talking about insurance. Because most Americans, health insurance and work go hand in hand. It's how we pay for our health insurance. It's the reason why we have health insurance. So everyone's two favorite things, work and insurance, right? Oh boy. So let's talk about work, baby. So before we dive in, this is my real hair, by the way. I still have my real hair for now. I will probably lose it soon. So in the meantime, it's very pink. Because why not, right? If I'm going to lose it soon, it might as well be pink. My face is also very pink. I've been struggling with some chemo-related skin issues. And I have a lot of skin issues related to chemo. If you are going through that, I can commiserate. If you are also, or if you went through that and you have any advice or can share anything that's worked with you, or you have any tips and tricks for how to handle your, chemo-related or treatment-related skin issues, I would really love to hear them. If you can share them, please comment on any of our platforms here or on Facebook, the TYP Facebook group, or email me, terminalyetpurposeful@gmail.com, because I would really love some advice. I think I need some. It's a little bit duller than usual because I have some anti-shine powder on for the camera. But otherwise, it's pretty pink and sometimes pretty raw. And keep trying new stuff and it's not really working. So if you can help me out, I'd love some advice. Anyway, I digress. Let's talk about work. So, a lot of people ask me about work. It's a very big question. And for people in our situation, people that are maybe on the younger end of the spectrum, are not able to retire yet or able to retire at all, and have to continue working, but are struggling with a long-term illness, how do you do that? And it's tough. I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Working while you're dealing with cancer, MS, Parkinson's, any kind of serious illness, autoimmune disorders, or anything long-term is rough. And sometimes we have no choice, right? We have bills to pay. We have to keep our medical insurance. We have to work, right? How do we do both? I am very, very lucky to have an employer that I've been with for about 8 years now, who is very understanding. I work for a family-owned business, and when I was diagnosed, they said to me, focus on you, do whatever you have to do to get yourself well, and, work when you can. We're going to be flexible with you. And if the time comes that you can't work anymore, let's talk about it. So I was diagnosed in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. And because I was diagnosed during the pandemic, I was working remote for a while. And I was working remote through the toughest time of my treatment. So I was doing 2 weeks on, 1 week off. And at that point, I was the sickest that I've been so far. I was dealing with a lot of pain. I was in stages of liver failure, essentially. And I would just like that. I worked when I could, right? And for a lot of you that are on chemotherapy, you might know this feeling. But when I would get chemo and I would get kind of like the steroid rush that comes from it, they give me steroids with my chemotherapy, and it would kind of keep me awake for 4 days, 3 or 4 days after my treatment. And you kind of get like a steroid mania associated with it. You get a lot of energy, get really hungry, can't really sleep very well. It messes you up in so many ways. But I would kind of ride that steroid mania, get a lot done at work, get what I could done at my house before I crashed. And steroids do make you crash. After 3 or 4 days, you crash hard. Then you sleep for 2 or 3 days. It's not a fun roller coaster, but I kind of would use that to get what needed to be done, essentially. And especially in the beginning parts of my chemo, I was up a lot at night. So I would work at night and I'd sleep during the day. And that worked for a long time. And now that the pandemic is kind of stabilized, I'm not able to do that anymore. So luckily, I am at a point right now, I'm a little bit more stable than I was. I'm dealing with a lot less pain on a daily basis. So I am doing a hybrid work schedule. I'm back at the office about 3 days a week, and I work from home the other 2. And I'm in my second year of treatment. I'm getting treatment every other Wednesday at this point. So because my employer understands this and is flexible and is working with me, they're just kind of like, as long as you're getting your work done and you can kind of emulate a normal schedule as much as possible, it's okay. And a lot of you don't have that luxury. And I can sympathize with you. That's really rough. Because the last thing you want to think about is going to work, right? When you don't feel great. Ugh. But right now, so today's Tuesday. It's Tuesday night, and I have chemo tomorrow at 7:00. So I kind of front load my Mondays and Tuesdays. I do, I wake up early. I take the dog for a really long walk. I get to work early. I put in a long day at work on Monday, get as much done as I possibly can. And I kind of come home and I try and load up for the rest of the week. So I, get my laundry done. I try and do meal prep. I tie up some loose odds and ends. I pay some bills just so I have less that I have to worry about after chemo. And then, same thing for Tuesday. I get up early, go to work, try and put in, a long day and get as much done as I possibly can on Tuesday so that I can wake up early on Wednesday, go to the hospital, and I get my chemo as early as I can. So 7:00 tomorrow, I go and I sit usually for about 5 or 6 hours. So I come home in the afternoon, early in the afternoon after chemo, and I open my laptop and I get as much done at work as I can until I crash, which is usually around 4 or 5 o'clock. So it's not great, but it's my schedule and it's what I've learned to work with, right? And I'm sure a lot of you that are dealing with long-term illnesses as well have some kind of routine that you've fallen into. And if things were different, you do things differently, but this is just how we adapt, right? How we move forward. So right now I got a load of laundry in the wash. I have meals prepped for tomorrow night. And I'm trying to tie up all my loose ends because I know after work tomorrow, I'm just going to want to sleep for 2 days, right? And we make it work. So because I have an understanding employer, Wednesday, people can get a hold of me. I'm not like some kind of saint or anything like that. People can get a hold of me while I'm sitting for chemo, usually by email. Don't be one of those people that's on your phone though during chemotherapy. Your hospital does not like that. Don't do that. Like talking on the phone. So I tell people if it's an emergency, you can get me through email on my phone. And then I usually come home and, do my work. And then I have to stay home on Thursdays after treatment. I'm just too run down and too sick not to. So I have to be home with my medication and my bed and my bathroom. And Friday is usually the same. It's a little bit better than Thursday, but chemo and a lot of treatments like chemo really mess with your immune system. So if you can be at home or just not around people as much for a few days afterwards, that's probably a best practice. So that's what I try and do. And then, I make it through the weekend. I go back into work Monday. And then, it's a normal week for me as much as possible. And on my chemo off weeks, I just try, get as much done as I can because, this is just kind of the schedule that I've had to adapt with is, every other Wednesday. I'm just out of the game for a little bit. And luckily, I have an understanding employer. But I know a lot of you are out there probably doing maybe like a retailer or service job, some kind of frontline work, jobs that don't do remote or hybrid schedules. And that's a different ball game. And my hat's off to you. You're making it work. That's impressive. Oof. Because I know the last thing you want to worry about is working and paying your bills when you're going through something serious, like a serious illness, right? But it's what we have to do. And we all adapt. And it's kind of incredible the ways that we do adapt. So, you never know how strong you are until you have to be. So all you strong people out there, I see you. So there is going to be a time when I can no longer work full time. And that is really scary to me. And we'll talk about why that's scary to me. And if you were in that boat or you know how to deal with this situation better than I do, please let me know how you're doing it. Because this honestly is terrifying to me. I carry my own health insurance. I got it from healthcare.gov in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has their own healthcare marketplace. It's called Penny. So last year, I had to switch from employer coverage to my own healthcare coverage. Long story short, I pay on the marketplace. I bought the best health insurance I could afford. And I'm in HR. I would say I know more about health insurance than the average person, than the average American, just because of my job. And I have more resources in healthcare than most people. So when I had to pick up my own healthcare coverage, I asked people, I did a lot of research. I asked people in health insurance, and I got the best healthcare plan for someone with cancer that was available through the health insurance marketplace. And to get that insurance, I pay about $8,700 a year for my premiums to have that health insurance. And it's the best coverage that I could afford. It's supposed to be the best plan on the marketplace, best plan available to me for someone with cancer undergoing active cancer treatment. And that's $8,700 a year for just me, not my spouse, no kids, just me. $8,700 a year. That's a lot. And I don't have a deductible. It's also the lowest out-of-pocket max on the healthcare marketplace. And I did that on purpose because I hit my out-of-pocket every year. And a lot of you probably do as well. Because when you're dealing with chronic conditions or long-term serious illnesses, and health insurance brokers and HR people, they're like, oh, most people don't hit their out-of-pocket max. Well, a lot of us do, right? So I found this plan, lowest out-of-pocket max. And because I had to switch plans in the middle of last year, I wound up having to hit 2 out-of-pocket maxes on 2 separate plans. So I paid $8,700 for my premiums, and I paid $16,000 last year in hospital bills. And that's not including my prescriptions. That's a whole other ballgame. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So we're looking at almost $25,000 that I spent last year on my health care. And I'm lucky to be able to work full time and to have a good job. And I have a good job, but I don't make 6 figures. I probably have an average salary of somebody my age with a college degree in a professional field, right? And I'm married, and my husband has a pretty good job, but he also doesn't make 6 figures. We make about the same. It's probably an average American salary. We don't have kids, so we don't have that as an expense. But we do have student loans that we're paying off. We have a house, and honestly, I don't know how we did it. I don't know how we paid our medical bills last year without foreclosing on our house. I look back on it and it's scary, right? And I don't think I'll have $16,000 in hospital bills that I will have to pay this year, but I will hit my out-of-pocket max, which is $8,000 on my plan. I will. That's going to happen. And last year I hit $16,000. I didn't have any surgeries, any major surgeries. I had a couple biopsies. I didn't have any ER visits, no ambulance rides, nothing like that. That was just chemotherapy every other week, scans every 3 months, a couple of tests, or a lot of tests, I guess, here and there. And that's why it scares me when I think about that there's going to be a time when I'm not going to be able to work full time anymore. Because how do you afford that? How do you afford that? So in the United States, if you are sick and you're unable to work, you can go out on FMLA. But FMLA is just a leave. It's not paid. If you have short-term disability insurance or long-term disability insurance or a paid leave at work, that's great. Not everybody does. I do. I pay for short-term disability at work. But for most of us, that plan pays about 60 to 75% of what you would make otherwise. So if you're a person like me and you're barely scraping by with paying your health insurance, paying your medical bills, paying your mortgage, your rent, your food bills, stuff like that, having to drop down to 60% of your salary because you can't work is rough. And disability runs out. So if you exhaust that, you have to apply for Social Security disability benefits, which I know a lot less about. But I do know that the average Social Security disability check is about $1,300 to $1,400 a month. And how do you pay your bills on that? I don't know. I really don't know. And this is why so many people who deal with health problems or have health emergencies pop up, why so many of us have to file for bankruptcy, go into foreclosure on our house, or just, drown in medical debt. Because it's really easy to do that. It's really easy to get over your head. Ugh. And if you're there, I understand, because I've been really close to it. I am really close to it. And I will say one resource that I have found that is helpful. My treatment center where I go has a network of social workers and financial aid workers. They do have access to some support systems and some information that can be really helpful to some people. And if you are in that situation where you're just overwhelmed with medical debt, I would reach out to your hospital or treatment center and see if they have any programs like that, because they might be able to help you. And it's worth a shot, right? But, also, if you're on some kind of leave, if you're on disability, if you're on Social Security disability or something like that, and you're making it work, or you know something that I don't know, and you have information that you can share, please do so. Please comment on any of our platforms or send me an email, and I'll be happy to share that information with everybody. But, this is the reality. This is, in the country that I live in, with the illness that I have, for a lot of us, you don't ask to get sick. For a lot of us, we have an illness because of, an inherited genetic condition or bad luck, or most of the time it's through no fault of our own. And then, you're trying to focus on you and focus on your health and getting better and feeling better and getting treated. And then to just deal with medical bills and insurance claims and just overwhelming medical debt. And then some of us, the possibility of, having to lose your house or losing your job, or it's a lot. It's a lot. And if you're going through it, I offer you sympathy. You're very strong for going through what you're going through. Because it takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of strength to deal with it all. And it's hard. So, and I mean, even with me paying for the best health insurance for somebody with cancer, I still have an insurance company that denies a lot of my claims. So much. And I'm sure a lot of you know what that's like as well. So, I have a very popular health insurance company in my area. And I often see them advertise at baseball games and big events, which is cool. Good for you guys. I love the Phillies. And I'm also a fan. But I would also rather them approve some of my claims rather than sponsor, Philadelphia sports teams and concerts, right? Ugh. But I digress. So that is work, and that is insurance. And I don't know, I'm assuming that this might be a uniquely American thing, although I think no matter where you live, it's expensive to be sick. I just think that, we don't have as many worker protections. And because our health insurance is structured the way it is in the United States, I think it is a little bit more uniquely American to be, carrying such massive amount of medical debt when you're dealing with illnesses like this. So if you're dealing with it and you need support, welcome. We are all in this together, right? But yeah, that's work. That's work, and that's health insurance, right? So not the most fun of topics today, but that is my experience with work. And, I'm working full time. I'm still working full time. I'm really lucky right now, but staring down the barrel of that, in the future, I'm going to need some options. Ugh, and it's scary to think about. So, I guess how we made it through last year with, almost $25,000 in medical debt, assuming. I do own my house, and our house is very small. I bought it at the right time, so my mortgage is probably less than what we'd pay in rent for, say, like a 2-bedroom apartment or something like that. We don't have kids. We do have student loans to pay back. How do we do it? Honestly, I'm not entirely sure, but I will say that, I don't think we did it 100% successfully. There's stuff in my house, like I need a new washer dryer. We've been putting that off. We need a new sump pump. We've been putting that off. I drive a 12-year-old car. If my car breaks, I'm really kind of sunk because I can't afford another one. There's kind of a give and take where we have to. And right now our contingency plan, if comes a time when I can't work soon, we'd probably have to sell our house and move in with family. Because you got to do what you got to do, right? So I don't have great answers for this, but if you know more information about this, especially about, Social Security or disability insurance, or you're making it work, then please, share your wealth of knowledge, because I'm sure a lot of us are in kind of like this scary boat of trying to live our lives, getting treated for our illnesses and trying not to drown in medical debt, or, try not to leave our family with a bunch of bills to take care of, stuff like that. Oof. So, that's it. That's all I have for tonight. Thanks for sticking with me. And, if you're in the same situation that I am, or, worse, I feel you. I sympathize. I see you. Feel free to share your experience on our platforms. And I hope everyone has a good night and can do something nice for yourself today. And if you want me to talk about anything, if you have a topic you want me to cover or information you'd like to share, please reach out terminallyetpurposeful@gmail.com. I'll be happy to do so. So thanks again, everybody. And I will see you soon. Have a great night. Bye.